Good evening and Happy New Year, elected officials, community members, esteemed colleagues, and friends. I am Saida Stroud. I'm the director of the Bay Area Entrepreneur Center of Skyline College. Wait for it. And the board president and interim CEO of the San Bruno Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Board of Trustees for the San Mateo County Community College District, Chancellor Mike Clare, and Skyline Interim President, Dr. Jeanette Jackson, I'd like to welcome all of you officially to Skyline College. And on behalf of the Board of Directors for the San Bruno Chamber and the beautiful city of San Bruno, I'd love to welcome you all to the State of the City address and board installation for 2020. Welcome. The San Bruno Chamber is committed to having a great impact on this city, on the economic vitality of our area, because we represent businesses that provide opportunity, create jobs, and foster our local economy. Please join me in thanking our premier sponsor for this event, Skyline College, another vital institution in this community. And of course, thank you all for your support of the businesses in our community and of the Chamber of Commerce. I would like to invite Vice Mayor Michael Salazar on up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. All right, everybody, please stand, face the flag to my right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our city and county elected officials and state offices that are represented today. Please hold your applause until the end. I've got a nice long list here. Katrina Rill from Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office is here tonight. Representative Elmer Martinez from State Senator Jerry Hill's office is here tonight. Representative Connie Chan from Assemblymember Kevin Mullen's office. San Mateo County Supervisor for District 5, David Canepa. San Mateo County Supervisor for District 1, David Pine. I'd also like to acknowledge San Bruno City Manager Javon Grogan. City Attorney Mark Zeffirano, excuse me. Hello. City Clerk Melissa Thurman, Lieutenant Ryan Johansson, Acting Fire Chief Mike Kennedy, Public Works Director Jimmy Tan, Community and Economic Development Director Darcy Smith, Community Services Director Joanne Margrini, Finance Director Keith DeMartini, and CityNet Services Director Sandeep Krishnamurthy. Thank you all for being here tonight and for sending your representatives. And now for the fun part. It's my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of San Bruno, Mayor Rico Medina.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, Happy New Year. And may 2020 bring us all health, happiness, and a good future. Also, want to thank Skyline College and Saida, because obviously this is a beautiful addition to the city of San Bruno here at Skyline College in our backyard. First and foremost, we're going to try to ensure that the state of the city is shorter than last year. This is a commitment that I have made to many, and I'm going to try to hold true so somebody can give me a signal and keep me on track. So these are the items that you can see on the board of what we are going to cover tonight, understanding with us keeping on time management that we're not going to go in everything in intricate detail, but give a short overview for certain parts of what you see on the agenda tonight. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce the team. This is the leadership team of the City of San Bruno when it comes to the elected offices. These 5 persons have been elected by the people of San Bruno. This photo here, just so you know, was taken on December 20th. We had a closed session to start with. After we had the transition on December 10th, we had a closed session and then went over to Colma for the Council of Cities dinner where we all attended together representing the City of San Bruno as a team. I want to introduce Michael Salazar, who's the Vice Mayor, who led us in the pledge. I want to introduce Laura Davis, Council Member. I want to introduce Marty Medina, Council Member. Question is, and the answer is, no, we are not related to the best of our knowledge. And also want to acknowledge Linda Mason. These 5 of us will soon be meeting to decide the city strategic plans as we embark upon this new year. The City Council will set the priorities to the best of the use of the resources, set the goals and objectives while trying to meet the community's interests and needs. This is truly a team effort, which I look forward to this year as we make a difference. So next we're going to go into the City Council priority focus areas. What you see before you are 7 points that were set at last year's planning strategic session. So the City Council went ahead, sat together, and came up with what priorities do we want to start to embark on as a council. As we know, there was some years ago, we all sat in a room and came up with 52 ideas. 52 ideas will not get all of them done, or maybe none of them done. So what it was bringing us together and trying to say, what are our focuses? What have we heard in the community? How are we going to plan our year ahead? And this we will be doing, scheduled for next month as a team again, to set those for the community. Let's go at a quick glimpse at the budget for this upcoming year. As you can see, there's $187 million. That's all budget. What that means is the enterprise funds and the general fund combined. You can also see it for our general fund, it is $50 million, and those are the services that everybody looks toward: police, fire, library, senior center, etc. Those are really essential ones, and folks sometimes lose part of how much it truly costs. We currently have 265 full-time employee positions. We have a $92 million CIP budget with currently 123 CIP projects occurring. This was one of particular interest because it was on Crystal Springs Road, which, as we know, was very, a lot of coordination and collaboration because you, not only at drop-off time and pickup with St. Robert's, Parkside, going through to the park to Cap, it was important for staff to really reach out into the residents. It's a very thorough to the freeways, and staff did a great job. But this is just an example of one of the CIP projects that we went ahead and have done by the council's direction. So now we're going to go into some of the highlights. This is going to take me a little bit. It doesn't include everything that we've done, but of course these are things that I think are worth mentioning that sometimes within the end of the year we forget and we don't realize where we've been and what we've done. We went ahead and initiated and approved the downtown streetscapes plan. There were pedestrian improvements, and these were, as you may see, on El Camino and Angus, as well as San Bruno Avenue East at Easton, Masson, and Mills Avenue. We also had pop-up events that were hosted for vendors and community outreach. Established the long-waited-for residential permit parking program. And this was something that had a lot of time and effort by many people, and went ahead and gave a tool which people had been asking for if they wanted to step forward to say, I need help in my neighborhood, there's just too many cars. Established the design and city guidelines for engineering design standards for the small cell wireless communications facilities, which we remember was quite a issue in our community as far as having to accept what are the standards, how are we being regulated by the federal government. We also joined the San Mateo County Flood and Sea Level Rise Resiliency District, and this is basically, again, getting communities together. So if grants, funds are available, we can apply for them as a collective, because obviously, as you know, with FEMA and even through our denial process, we have folks that are affected in our community that are going to have to buy flood insurance, which is going to get expensive, and these are avenues in which we're trying to assist them in this process. There was the tree giveaway from a Circle grant called 3.0, and this city gave away 157 trees last year. There's the Green Infrastructure Plan for the state's Municipal Regional Stormwater National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. Somebody comes up with these words, and there's a good acronym for it, but it makes no sense. There was the Financial Sustainability Project, and this is an effort that was done by staff and council to implement a comprehensive development impact fee program that took effect on May 1 of last year. A cost allocation plan and user study for utility billing, collecting process, and customer service improvements, and audits of the city's major general fund revenue sources. A community survey was issued, which some of you have participated in, and others did as well, which led to some strategic objectives that the community are looking for, which led to the ballot initiative that would just pass on November. The City Council strategic initiatives. This is, again, what has not been done in the past is great is that we come together. We set those plans, which then we hand to the city manager. And we say, let's make it work, make it happen. He goes to the department heads, the leadership team, and starts to say, okay, based on these objectives, these goals, these visions, how do we have it go down into everybody's bucket and try to achieve those at the end of the year? And this is, I think, something that isn't always done, but I think it's great that we have done and we are going to be doing again. We also received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And what that means, it is the Government Finance Officers Association Award. What this is for the first time we went ahead and changed the format and the process of the budget for its presentation and the way it was engineered. So therefore, it was streamlined. It was efficiency for taking less staff time, as well as receiving this award for the first time in the city's history. Some interesting stats for 2019 and how the people were served. The San Bruno Police Department responded to 49,581 calls for service. The San Bruno Fire Department responded to 4,600 calls for service. Our library, books that were checked out, 287,710. People that came through the doors at the library, 219,482. Homework center visits, 2,763. Summer reading signups, 2,710. At the nutrition site at the senior center, their numbers come in to more than 100, but let's just say at least an average of 100 or so per day that are served at the senior center for a nutritious meal and camaraderie with the seniors and their friends. And the San Bruno Recreation Division has an average of nearly 400 students enrolled in the after-school program, and of course, this number may vary based on the particular month. Moving on into the comprehensive physical sustainability project. What we did complete was community presentations. What we did complete was engagement with the community. We had our city manager and finance director going out to groups and HOAs and others to forward them what we have learned through them and through this community engagement. We also modernize the billing process. So that's your utilities billing as far as portals. Portal to pay, portal to maintain and see if you have a leak or high usage or how you can conserve. The budget and expenditures controls. We have a cable business plan. We did a sales tax measure. We reduced last year the utility accounts receivable by approximately $500,000 through delinquents that were delinquent accounts. This is by change of practice and which much thanks and effort through the finance department and the staff there. Ongoing and continuing efforts. We are assessing user fees and permits so it's accurately reflects the cost of what it costs the city to run. We are auditing the property tax, which is the first time in doing that. Hotel room tax, the last time it was done was 2002. And the business license taxpayers, this is being done for the first time. Why? Because it was important to the council and to staff that if we're going to go out to the community and ask for a sales tax initiative, we need to make sure that we're leading by example. We need to make sure our house is in order, and we need to make sure that we are taking charge making the difference and trying to tie up loose ends. And this is a lot of effort from the senior leadership team, and I thank them. And the council, with their direction, thank them that we've all come together on this. We're also implementing the cable enterprise business plan, developing short-term rental ordinance, development of the impact fees. We adopted that fee to ensure developers pay their fair share. Costs a lot to run the city, and they need to be a part of that. A parking in the downtown and surrounding residential improved neighborhoods, which we talked about, which is a permit program, which is available, and you can go online for more information to the Public Works website. Wildland mitigation efforts. That is the Crestmore Canyon, which we all know about. Even if you don't live near there, you've driven near there. We know the vegetation issue. We know the concern that has been there for years, and especially after 210's explosion. This was something that PG&E was mandated by the federal court with probation hours. Upon auditing of those by the city manager, and by myself, and then by the city council, it wasn't working. We believed that you could have better things done by their probation hours rather than painting something by giving it back to what this city needs. And so what we did is we participated and came up with a plan that the city council adopted for a hearing at the federal court. I've never been to federal court before a federal judge. It is intimidating, I will say. One of those things you don't want to do in life. But what was important is it awarded $3 million for work for the canyon, for fire mitigation, which is critical. And I had spoke to some of those folks that lived there that lost loved ones, and they were in full support of this because they still know they may not be living there, but it's important to that neighborhood. So I appreciate the staff's time on that. And again, like I said, short-term rentals will be back early this year. Also, community survey and engagement. As you know, we put forward a sales tax initiative, which, thanks to the voters, was approved by 61.61%. The next steps include, as committed, an oversight citizens committee. And that will be coming to the city council next Tuesday to begin that process. Some additional funding efforts. Through the Public Safety Command Vehicle, this is following, as you may remember, the 2018 YouTube shooting incident. The YouTube employees donated a total of $303,545 to the City Community Foundation for the express purpose of enhancing the city's capacity to respond to critical incidents. And then YouTube went ahead and also donated $1,000 and matched the employees' contribution. So this is just not a police vehicle. This is for fire. This could be the San Bruno Avenue incident that happened up there, and this vehicle allows us to go up there and get into it, have staff have a place to facilitate. And again, if we were going to have a disaster that may occur in our peninsula, that's an earthquake, which we can't get the county vehicle over here, this allows San Bruno to have it, to avail itself, and to protect its residents. Public safety response training. The sad world is today, shooters, active shooters, those scenarios do happen too often. What we did as a city, we went ahead and had active shooter scenario training at City Hall, at Parkside, and at Cappuccino. And on the county element, they did one at Mills. I attended the Mills and I attended the Parkside. It's one thing to fear as an elected leader, getting a phone call of that happening at a school, and it's very sobering when you stand there and watch the blood, the guts, the active shooter, the process, the wounded, the dead, and to realize that can't happen. Not being criticized, but it was like, why do you do that? You're just scaring people. If we don't do it, shame on us. We need to be prepared, and we need to protect our youth and our community. So I appreciate us getting those grants. The Measure K funding. Staff applied for Measure K through the San Mateo County for repairs to the grandstand at Lara Field. They'll include many things, and I want to thank Supervisor Pine and Supervisor Canepa for initiating that to the Board of Supervisors, and for the Board of Supervisors approving $150,000 to help in that engagement. The CCAG, not everybody knows about this stuff, but funded an effort. The project consists of a subsurface concrete gallery that will be located beneath the vacant space at the Caltrans right-of-way between I-280 and I-380 interchange. The project would divert from a storm drain that serves portions of Rollingwood, Crestmore, Portola, Highlands, and Pacific Heights neighborhood of San Bruno. The storm drain eventually discharges into the San Bruno Creek, which flows into the bay. And San Bruno was awarded $913,330. So thank you to staff for doing that. We also had the El Camino Real Angus intersection improvements. That was submitted a grant, and that also was improved through the Measure A, which is the bicycle and pedestrian opportunity. That was $300,000 for the costs, and that was through Transportation Authority. Not pictured, but also noting, obviously, we have the Narita program, which is critical, and the Community Day in the Park, which I believe everybody enjoys coming together on that. Next, we have also what was San Bruno Cable is now San Bruno City Internet Services. I still have a hard time with the transition because I've lived here my whole life and I've only known it as one thing, but I'm transitioning. So this was a remap out of the program. And here are just some highlights of, actually, many don't know that it was established in 1971. No, it wasn't at the building on El Camino Real. That was more in the 90s when that was dedicated to the man that started it, Leo Van Duzen, who I met many, many years as a young man, and started this endeavor. You can see, but one thing that was interesting, which I wanted the figures checked, was the enterprise continues to provide internet, TV, and phone service to 48% of San Bruno homes. So they're saying out of the homes in San Bruno, one of those services or all of those services are provided to 48%. And you can see some of the other accomplishments. Emergency preparedness. We kind of talked about that a little bit, but also, as you know, one of the last ones we had was the October power shutoff. Nothing that we had control over, but what I will say is that going through it for the first time, it was uneasy for folks. They were not knowing what to do, how long it would be, and I think it was something that I'm very proud to say staff stepped up, and not only stepped up, but exceeded. When you hire a new city manager, which the whole city council approved and agreed to, it was, well, when it happens or something happens, how is that going to happen? I'm used to one way, but how is this way? Well, to my appreciation and to the council's thanks, the San Bruno city manager did activate the EOC in City Hall with the shutoff happening on that Saturday and coming back online on Monday. I personally went down with Supervisor Canepa, and I went down to the county emergency services operation to see how the county was interacting with the cities and the jurisdictions. And it was extremely interesting how they were watching the weather patterns, and you had PG&E reps. But I was more proud is they were going through the list of the various jurisdictions within the county, who was activated, who was online, who was actually sitting there in their emergency room prepared to do whatever they needed for their community. And out of all of us, not just because I'm the mayor of San Bruno, but we were the one at that time when I went down there Sunday night. And I was very proud of that. Going back to the Villa Hotel, apartments, which were in pitch black, but you could look across the street and see Tanforan Mall clearly lit. It was trying to understand what they're going through and to understand those that have more needs because of the population that serve that villa. So these are all lessons learned, and we provided a lot of outreach and emergency information, but it also reminds us to be prepared because we don't know what may happen or how long it may last. Also, I know we're all aware of the Crestmore Canyon. On December 3rd, the city manager issued a resolution proclaiming it a local emergency due to the unexpected soil erosion. Yes, the canyons do move, but this became at a greater rate because of what had transpired with the weather, and it had been so dry. It was initiated that we had lost so much, and that's why you see the lane being blocked off just as a safeguard for the erosion underneath. But staff moved very quickly, went ahead and are putting together a way to mitigate, to shore up, and to improve. It's not cheap. It's about a $1.3 million. What's good in the sense that we have the monies in reserves. As I was talking about the budget, in 2012, I believe, this city council back then put together a reserve policy that said we need so much dollars in these reserves, like your savings account, in case we have disasters like this. This money now is available that doesn't affect the general fund and allows us to operate the city. But that's the forethought and forethinking of those type of policies that we maintain today, and we are sitting at the correct levels. And we are, obviously the installation is scheduled to begin in early February, so next month, and it should take about 3 to 4 weeks to complete. And I want to thank all city staff and Public Works for all the work and effort that they put together on this. Also, being prepared. I know we just talked about it, but these are things that are offered. When I say we held 2 Ready seminars, there was the open house at Fire Station 51, which is great for kids and adults, of course, but at the same time, there are also available opportunities to learn, listen, and acquire needed preparation supplies. There were 50 new students to the CERT program, which is offered, and most of our senior leadership team went ahead and attended a California Specialized Training Institute through a grant. So we had a lot of new senior leadership team members come on. So they need to be able to work together, they need to be able to practice together, and so by them being trained through this grant is ensuring us when the next thing happens, and unfortunate in life, things aren't always rosy, that we have a team that's in place that is ready to go. And so we also have conducted, just so you know, an emergency operations center, which is underground in City Hall. Used to be, I don't know if it was a bomb shelter or whatever back then, but that's where it's located, and it's active and prepared. And there is all these type of trainings that are offered through the fire department, which include emergency preparedness tips, CERT training, smoke alarm assistance for seniors and low-income families, car seat installation appointments. And yes, I was at City Hall one Saturday, and there was a car with a firefighter installing a child seat for somebody who was expected in about 2 weeks. Something that everybody doesn't know, but they're there to help you and do that. And also a way in which to link to CMS Alert. Some general updates. Florida Park. That has been asked about at times. It is moving forward. The design is in process of being finalized. It will return to the City Council for approval. Requests for RFPs will be issued, and based on the review of the bid documentations and submittals, construction contract may be executed by the end of this calendar year. The hotel at the crossing. For those that you know, that is a city-owned lot. Obviously, it's been vacant for some years. The city has engaged the service of a real estate broker, CBRE Group, Inc., to remarket the site and obtain proposals. The city council meetings of the 7th and 8th of October reviewed and selected a developer to enter into exclusive negotiation rights, and that process is ongoing with that developer. This is something that was brought up to me tonight before we started. What's going on with the Rec and Aquatic Center? And how do I know if it's going to have a diving board? How do I know if it's going to be this or it's going to be that? So what we all must realize in government and in life, nothing moves fast. The private sector, you can get around things, but in government, you can't. So right now, it's in the process of design, development, and construction documents. And there's a sequence studies that must be initiated and are underway, like parking and traffic study, biological resource review, arborist report, culture resources, and AB 52, Native American Heritage notifications, historical resource evaluation, geotech report, hazardous material report, wetland delineation report. All of these are in work and progress, but all of these have to be obtained and gone forward with in order for us to move forward. Another question is, hey, what's going to happen when construction starts? Where do we go? And so for now, the city is working to identify a location that offices and programs would be moved through the construction phase, and programs are going forward, and the pool is open this season. So fear not, the pool will be there and be open. But at some point, it is to bring it together, both buildings together as one, and to have something that, as you know, goes back to the 50s. For all those you may remember, shows how long you've been here, the San Francisco Warriors practiced in the gym. That's a fact. And I don't know if that's going to make it a historical facility, but at the same time, It's just a part of the process. And yes, it takes time. And so the aquatics will continue to operate till the end of the year. And yes, it will be reported out to various of the committee, commissions, and boards, and to the community. And as was indicated by our Park and Rec Commissioner, that it is also on the website. And I encourage, if there are questions, specific and little that you think they may be, maybe they're not, and all of us collective trying to put our input and work toward a great facility that's going to outlast me, let's do it. Partnership with Recology. Yes, they pick up our trash, but there's also a few other things they do when there's something new that they want to embark upon. Learning is, back in 2017, we initiated kind of a partnership, and it was to try to also get the additional items that are off the roads. And it is estimated that there are over 350 times that they have since 2017 gone out and picked up abandoned garbage. That's not counting what staff does, but that's just through Recology. The interesting thing is there was a tire in my neighborhood, and I was trying to think like, okay, what do I do with this? I saw it move a few times on the street, but it just didn't go away. So I went ahead and called and found out I could go to a particular, on Montgomery, put it in my trunk, brought it down a certain day, certain time, and handed it over. Done. So there's little things that we can do in order to make a difference, and we need to call them. And they also do stuff like Coats for Kids, free compost, Operation Clean Sweep, and we are meeting our 50% required diversionary rate. That's always a question too. Are we sticking up with the state standard? The answer is yes. The other thing that will be initiated through council's support is in October of this year. It's going to take place at the City Hall parking lot, where the San Bruno residents will be allowed to bring in down and dispose of items such as paint, household hazardous waste, bulky items, extra garbage, and electrical waste. It'll be an informational booth as well, but what it is I think we got to get to a point with a garbage company that offers us twice 3x3 spaces, that if you call them, they'll try to assist and pick up something that's been sitting, or the city. I know people put it out to say it's free, but when it's not free, now it becomes a nuisance. So it's time that we educate our neighbors, and if I'm not going to use my 3x3 and my neighbor does it, put it in front of my house and I'll call. But I think we need to try to get 2020 to where it's not accepted anymore. There was years ago that we had graffiti that was just horrific and horrendous in the city. You don't see it much. It's because we've changed behavior, we've put policies in place, and we tried to act quickly and effectively. And I think we can get that. And Carolyn Livingood, who used to hate the garage sale signs on telephone poles, even that has diminished immensely. So things can be done, but it takes all of us to help change behavior. The San Bruno Chamber, who helped facilitate this tonight. Yes, in 2019, it was huddling together, coming together, trying to regrasp and regroup and come with a plan. And they have. And that's why we're here tonight. They've had activities on San Mateo Avenue, they've had activities as far as ribbon cutting, and they have more things yet to come. And I want to thank the board, I want to thank Saida, and I want to thank the merchants that participate and are involved with it. Life Moves, homeless. That's gotten a lot of activity lately. So let me just say some of the stats. Life Move is a nonprofit agency that the county does do business with, and they fund so many persons in the county. And to me, what I learned was it's not a lot. I want to say goodnight to the president of the board of San Bruno Park School District, Terry Chavez, who has to go run a meeting, but I want to acknowledge and thank her for being here. So she's really double dipping and multitasking. Thank you, Terry. Drive safe. San Bruno Life Moves in 2019 had 71 unduplicated clients served and 190 outreach and engagements that were duplicated. There were 41 clients in case management, unduplicated, and 10 in shelter placements. This does not include what the police do as far as their outreach. What's interesting, though, is that we're fortunate that we have a police grant. So there's an extra person that's out there that is 75% dedicated to San Bruno alone. This is a grant that was established that will run out in June of this year. So thanks to Supervisor Pine, who's here, We talked in April of last year, and I said, I think this is important for San Bruno. With that less service, though I know it's a grant, I don't think it's going to get better. It's just going to get worse. He graciously said in April, and we talked this month, and it's reaffirmed that he, through Measure K funding through his office, he will put forward for us, once that grant runs out, to have 2 additional years of that caseworker to help people on the streets. And I want to thank the supervisor for that. And I know there's a lot of folks that feel strongly about what they see and why it happens. So let's go with what's been in the news. Under 380. Most people don't know that's a state entity. We don't have the right to go onto that land and to move them, cite them, or initiate the eviction process. It is not a crime to be homeless. There is the Boise case study as far as you have to offer them some type of shelter or see if one's available. So it's a challenging time, because I, even a few weeks ago, went under 380 and went and spoke to those that were there. Because to me, you don't know it unless you ask it, and I don't want to read about it, I want to hear it firsthand. So I went and spoke to those that were there to understand why. Why are they not seeking services? What are their stories and how did they get there? And one just was not prepared to follow rules and go into a shelter, candidly, but didn't want to leave San Bruno because that's what he knows. Another lived in a home in a good area of our city that lost their home, and they were in transition. There's a story of a woman who lost her husband, her home, her items all being auctioned off, lived out of her car. And the reason she wouldn't go to a home is because she had 3 cats or 2 cats, and that's irrelevant. She had cats, and she couldn't give them up, not at this point in her life. So we have to have empathy, but we also have to really collaborate and cooperate. It is a problem that does not just exist in San Bruno, but county-wide. The other thing is further south to us, they're starting to have RV issues. And they're trying to deal with that, and the county realizes they are, and I appreciate the supervisors being here, are taking the lead. Some of the things that I learned through talking to Supervisor Pine is this year that they are trying to make a concerted effort to go ahead and see the resources that are used, to see how they're allocated to the various cities, and collaborating. Even a suggestion is about having an app. Not an app just for San Bruno, but an app that is in all jurisdictions countywide. Because it's just not about us pushing it across the boundary. It's about us really dealing with the problem. If everybody can communicate to one another and find out who needs services and who needs help, then those are some of the things that they can do, and I appreciate that. Future planning. So we all know that there's going to be future growth in San Bruno. I know this is a hard chart to read. It'll be on the website. But obviously, development will happen in San Bruno, and we as a community and council have to work to achieve that growth that the community embraces and will move us forward. The Bay Hill specific plan is one. The EIR is underway. It is anticipated to be out in the first half of 2020 and for review of public comment. The Bay Hill specific plan, its estimated cost is $2 million, and thanks to YouTube, they are providing that so that that process can move forward. It's strategically located, and it's in an effort to carefully analyze how to maximize the land and continue to grow jobs as well as possible housing in the future. The proposed YouTube expansion. I had learned that 60% of those that travel to YouTube do not do it in a car by themselves, which is impressive. And I appreciate that they want to continue to call San Bruno their home, and that they're ready to work with the city once the environmental review of the Bay Hill specific plan is complete to address impacts and provide community benefits upon the conclusion of that proposal. Skyline College residential is underway. That again, it was 40 single-family homes, 30 apartments for college staff, and that is groundbreaking for that is anticipated at the end of this year. Future development, as you can see, for example, Sears. We are partnering with the owners to revitalize the shops at Tanforan to find creative reuse of the site. Downtown, revitalize downtown, the recent adoption of the streetscapes, Parking is a high interest, and we are exploring a parking garage. Mills Park, the project was not approved in 2019, but that we know the developer is exploring all opportunities to develop the property, and as a community and council, we will need to work together and ensure there is communication to our community. We also want you to stay connected. You can always learn about more of what's happening through various elements that you see on this screen. I want to say to folks that I want to thank you for being here, and I know sometimes folks always see that something that's not right, that there is nothing ever good, that the sun never shines. And in having dinner near somebody, I listened. Yes, I was eavesdropping, but I pretended I wasn't. And it was 20 minutes straight of everything that was wrong with San Bruno, from a cone to something else. And I was thinking back yesterday, as far as in the month of December. It wasn't you, Ken, former Vice Mayor Ken Ibarra. Ken and I just talk one-on-one. And in last month alone, some of the events I went to was a Glen Avenue street lighting, the Parkside Winter Concert, Reefs Across America to honor those fallen at Golden Gate Cemetery, the Senior Center Holiday Lunch, the Toys Giveaway, where the Fire Association helped 187 San Bruno families, the San Bruno Police with their Santa for a Cop, and the Senior Center on December 31st at noon, having a toast to a new and prosperous year. So what I say to you is, are things perfect? No. Can they always be better? Yes. Do we as a community need to work together? Absolutely. Does everybody count? Yes, they do. Is it about dividing the city, about where you live? It is not. It is the best thing to read on Nextdoor, and Marty will appreciate this because you probably saw it. And it was about street sweeping. And some post was, well, you know why that happens? Is all 5 council members live on the west side and all their people put them into office. Well, they forgot about Marty and I, who live on the east side. And thanks to Mr. Steins, he corrected the post. But that's the point. Ask the question. Don't assume the answer. We're reachable. We want to hear and we want to help, but we do need a community that works together, not just in bad times, but trying to move the ball forward and trying to make San Bruno better and making a difference along the way. And I look to all of you to do just that, and I thank you for your time and your patience this evening. Now, I'm going to ask Saida if she would step forward. Saida, who's done a lot of work, along with staff like Jennifer, Melissa, everybody. I know Jennifer never likes to be acknowledged. So I'm going to ask Saida at this time if she would bring forward the Board of Directors. No, you go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, will the following people please come forward? Ron Frediani with Associated Window Cleaning, Barbara Ainzettel with Gordon and Associates, Brian Correas of KBA DocuSys, Linda Larson with the shops at Tan Ferran, Rebecca Prozan with YouTube, Max Wayne of Nori's Restaurant and Atlas Pizza Parlor, Darcy Smith with the City of San Bruno, and our Chamber Ambassador, Karen Cunningham with Berkshire Hathaway.
We don't have to dance, do we?
No dancing needed. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read a statement, and then you can go ahead and hopefully address the affirmative. If not, we have to stop everything and start over. You have been elected to the Board of Directors of the San Bruno Chamber of Commerce. This honor reflects the caring that you have about San Bruno and in general, in particular, the success of its business community. Your fellow San Bruno Chamber of Commerce members have asked you to accept the challenge of leading the Chamber and are placing their trust in you to move this organization forward and to work to accomplish its mission, to promote and enhance the economic growth and vitality of San Bruno business and the community. By accepting this challenge, you are committing yourself to the board and to the hard work of the leadership that it entails. You will be responsible for ensuring the continued success of this 78-year-old organization. Will you accept this commitment?
Will.
Do I will. It counts. It counts.
You didn't tell us what to say.
That's true, I didn't. So thank you. Put your arms down and appreciate, because obviously, Max, because obviously this is out of the extra time to run their businesses and their lives that they're giving to this community. So thank you very much. Board, you may sit down. Saida, if you would stay with me. Saida, it's my privilege in which to hand you, as president of the board, the gavel. Any comments you have, and appreciate your efforts thus far and the ones that are going to continue in this year of 2020.
I'm not going to hold this all night, so. Congratulations to the board members, and thank you all for all of your hard work, especially this past year. I look forward to great things for the Chamber as we work together with our partners in service to this wonderful community. Before we end, I want to thank everyone that made this event so possible. From our generous sponsors to the dedicated staff and volunteers that did much of the heavy lifting so that we could have such a lovely event. We appreciate you more than I can express tonight. This is not possible alone, so thank you to everyone that helped. Thank you all for coming. Travel safe and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.